All right, we're a little early. Gary is running a little late, so a couple minutes early. Link is out there if anyone wants to come up. Got somebody trying to drop off a chainsaw. They were supposed to drop it off literally 10 minutes ago, but I don't know if they're coming. We'll see. So, who we got in the house? We got, let's see, go to the top. We got Pete. We got Klaus. Hank. Let's see who else we got here. Oop. Come on. I hate StreamYard's a pain in the butt. Adam. Or, no. Andrew, not Adam, Andrew. Mr. Clement. Rained all day. No, it's drizzling. It's drizzling. Hello, Ben. Yeah, if I knew it was Andrew, I don't know why I said the other one. Let's see. Everybody's saying hello. Gary's running a little bit late, he said. My mother's texting me, "You coming over for supper?" No, I'm doing a live stream, huh? So anyway, Gary and Jim Condon wanted to do a live and talk about generators because that's their main thing that they like to do. I don't know if Condon's gonna be here, at least not right now, because he usually doesn't get freed up till about 9 o'clock at night with his kids and getting home from work and eating and all that stuff. Um, but Gary Bernacki will be here. He said at about quarter past, so we're a little bit early. Hey, Huss. So, anyway, if anyone has any questions about generators and gas versus propane, all that stuff, hold the questions. Like I said, Gary is the expert. Same with Jim Condon. Uh, Tomorrow, oh, there's Klaus. Hey, Klaus.
Hey, is this a channel for garden hose and garden handheld equipment?
It was going to be a generator Q&A with Gary and Jim, and I know Jim probably won't be able to get here till later, if at all, and Gary is having dinner. So
Ah, all right.
right now it's just whatever. Tomorrow is my wife's birthday, so I don't know if I'll
Congratulations.
be able to do anything live or anything like that. So this morning we said we'll do a live now, and whoever shows up, and Gary wanted to do a Q&A, whatever. So that's fine, whatever. Whoever's around, the
Yeah,
link is out there.
yeah. All right.
So, but what are you up to,
Well,
Klaus?
I hope there'll be something tomorrow because
Someone will be on, I'm sure. Like I said, I got a anniversary party that starts at noon, and I said to my wife, "How long?" It's a 60th anniversary for one of her friends, and I said to her, "How long do we have to be at this thing?" I'm figuring maybe a couple of hours. So if that's the case, I may be able to, go live at 3 or so. I don't know, but we'll see. We'll see. Holy cow! Who the hell is that? Yeah,
hey, Steve. Hello.
seen him in a while.
Yeah. Hello, love.
Hello, love. Right. Yeah, let's say
Hey,
hello.
Hoss. Yeah. Repair gang.
Uh,
Bill.
Tommy. Yeah,
Tommy.
we'll get a few people. I didn't know work was really busy today, so I tried to put out some type of a community tab or something. Mick said he may show up, so we'll see.
Yeah. Well,
We'll see what happens. Uh,
not bad.
yeah, we had
But
rain today all
I,
day.
well, it's gonna here tomorrow. Apparently, rain wise, it's gonna go crazy tomorrow.
Yeah, we had a wicked storm yesterday into today, but hopefully now they're saying it's supposed to be decent for the weekend. Just getting humid, cooler but humid.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So we'll see. Ben, yeah, he's going to be here. He told me he's having dinner and he's
Okay.
running about 15 minutes late. So in another 10, 15 minutes, I'm sure he'll be here. So my mother's got nice stuffed peppers waiting for me, but I'm here.
Stuffed peppers.
Oh, I love stuffed peppers.
Man, that's good food.
Mm. especially when you use like the tri meat, the beef, the pork, the whatever. Just
Yep. Yep.
Pete Froud, hello, love.
Hey, Pete.
Mr. Malhouse, how you doing, my friend? Pat,
Uh-huh.
how you doing, Pat? Good to see you. There he is. There we go. Just hold off the beer gear. Wait till you're on here.
Yeah.
Everybody's saying hello, hello. Hey, John. But,
Hey, John.
yeah, this guy here, Pat, we met on, what is it? What the hell? Matt Olson's channel. We used to watch Matt take apart chain. He hasn't done a lot of that lately. Everyone, I'm sure, is aware of Matthew Olson and his chainsaw channel, but he hasn't done a lot lately with them. I don't know if he's just being more of a dentist or if he's just not doing more saws or what. Haven't really seen many videos from him lately. Hey, look at this. We got the stars are out.
All right.
Brag. Definitely great channel. Great channel. Oh, Central Wisconsin Cheeseheads. My favorite team used to be the Packers, but now that Favre is gone and all the other guys are gone, I don't know. Everybody's saying hello, hello. Yeah, check out Greasy Shop Rags. You can put a link to your channel if you want. Anybody who wants to put a link to their channel, feel free. I'll support everybody.
Yeah, come to my channel. You'll get everything I say. No problem. Oh boy.
Yeah, battery power. I got approached this week. They want to send me chainsaws. In fact, they said they want to send me their chainsaw and their competitor's chainsaw, both, to do a comparison, and I can do it.
I have a thing going with Vivor, the Chinese thing.
Yep.
And they were pushing for tests of the little diesel heaters, the one that ain't gotten.
Yeah.
And I wrote back to guys, I can't install it in my shop because it's already got a heat source.
Yeah.
So if I'm to do it, it's going to be a static test. I don't think that's that's not going to make one heck of a video. You know what they wrote? No, that's fine. The static test is good. We'll send you one. Bye.
Oh, really? Oh, that's all right. I know a lot of people use them in like little motor homes and
motor homes. And if you're there and your shop is a small, sounds like negative. It's not. But if you got a small sized shop that is not heated and maybe you have an electric fan or something, those diesel heaters, if you can install them, they're absolutely fantastic. But I'm thinking my viewers, some of them may like it, some of them may not. But why do they want to have a static test done? I don't, because I can't drill a hole in my. I already have a heat source, so I can't drill. I won't drill a hole in my wall. Just to install a Vivor diesel heater.
Sure.
But they said no, that's fine. We'll like that. That's good. I said okay, that's what you're gonna get. So we'll see. It's gonna be a Wednesday video. What video? Not a video. Video.
Mm-hmm.
It's a Danish thing. We say V's the wrong way. So it'll be a short Wednesday video. So yeah, but we'll see. It's gonna be good. I've actually never touched one of those diesel. That was a craze last year. I've never touched one, so it's going to be interesting to see how that goes.
How are you actually just going to plug it in and see what it does, or put it outside, or how are you going to do it?
Something like that, or in between.
Like you said, with the exhaust, it's okay to put the heat source, but with the exhaust, you got to get rid of it, right?
I can run it in the shop and then air it out afterwards. I'll show it. I'll put it together and see how it does. It delivers 8 kilowatts of heat. That's pretty good, I guess. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna come here. I don't know, maybe they don't deliver on Sunday, so it's probably either tomorrow or Monday.
Hmm.
And now that we're talking, tomorrow I'm going to hold on, color me important, influencer event.
Really?
Yes,
Who's it sponsored by? What or who or?
skill.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I
that's
thought you
gonna
had a
be.
falling out with them. No.
Yeah, we came to an agreement,
Okay.
which means I get more money. But that's not the point.
What are
The
you going to
point.
be like a panelist somewhere, or what is that?
No, no, they're gonna. They're doing a get together, so we're all gonna be there tomorrow at 10. It's
Hmm.
about an hour away from where I live, and there'll be food and there'll be things, and we'll be discussing, and we'll get feedback to the reps from the
Yeah.
company and what works, what doesn't work, and then we're gonna go out and test some tools. And at the end of the day, I get to pick what I bring home for tests.
Now,
Sometime in the future,
how far away from you? How far you got to go?
about an hour.
No, that's not too bad.
No, no, it's good.
Is it
So
at a like an equipment location, or where is it
it's
actually
at.
at?
I, I don't know. Yeah, maybe, probably.
I'll say, well, they must have outdoor space to do what they have to do, and
Yeah, or big indoor
yeah.
something,
Oh,
and there's going to be, I think, 6 or 7 other influencers.
hmm.
They're going to be. Some has X channels. Some have other social media that they
Do you
promote.
know any of them, Klaus, or no?
Morton's going to be there.
Oh, good.
Steen is going to be there,
Yep, yep.
and a guy like I don't know if you know, you haven't met him. His name is Karsten. He comes from
I think I've
Sweden.
heard the name or seen him in the chats or something.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Karsten is out of Sweden. He's going to be there.
well, that's good.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
what's the language? Is it English or what's the actual language of this?
Danish,
Danish.
Danish.
Okay.
Yeah, Danish. Yeah, Danish. Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually had this week. Actually, this Monday, I had a visitor. Anders from
Yeah. Yeah.
Sweden.
Yep.
He was at a work thing very close by to where I live. So he came by Monday, and we had dinner. That was fantastic.
Did you cook something or did you go out?
Anita cooked something.
Nice.
Yeah. So that was nice. It was that was interesting. I mean, it's so funny to talk to people that you've seen them so many times.
Is it the first
But,
time you
but
met him in person? Or
yes,
oh, okay, that's always fun.
it was fantastic. I mean, he's an absolutely gem. He's a really good
Good
guy.
dude.
So yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, cool.
And yes, Pete Froud, free beer, absolutely. The only issue is I have to drive home. So
Is it
unless,
like
unless I can stick it in my trunk.
what time does it start, Klaus? Is it like all
Uh,
day or what is it?
yeah, it's from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, for a full day. They have a film crew there. I don't know
Yeah.
what that's about. So I'm gonna comb my hair, put on a green T-shirt, and just
Yeah.
show up and see what happens.
Cool.
So yeah, that's gonna be interesting.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
I've never done anything like that. So I'm a little bit like, hey, you know. But hey, Steen and Morton from the other two other channels, you guys met them.
oh yeah.
They're gonna be there, so I'm pretty safe
Hmm.
from that point. But it's gonna be good. It's gonna be nice. And if they get all too weird, the three of us, we're gonna sit in the corner having coffee.
Mhm.
you know, so it's gonna be good. I
Where's
look
Hank?
forward to it.
Yeah, Hank said he was coming up. What's going on?
Well, Hank probably fell asleep.
Maybe.
Right, Hank? You asleep? Wake up.
Hmm.
Time for your sleeping pill. Wake up, Hank. Come on.
I want this guy to come up. Come on, Pete.
Yeah, Pete Froud. Yeah. It's not a porter. Pete,
There's only
sorry.
22 watching, Pete. Come on up.
It's an oyster stout.
Ooh.
Marston's. It's a British. Yeah, it's British. So
Hmm.
yeah. So yeah.
I guarantee you I'm going to be in mid sentence and this person with a chainsaw is going to knock on my door.
Don't worry. Hank and I will cover for you. Right, Hank? Hello? Well.
Come on, Pete. He knows how to do it. The link's right there.
He does.
Yeah, Mick said he might show up too. But did Mick ever post anything? He was gonna post something about this, but I didn't see anything.
No, I spoke with these Pete and Mick this afternoon.
Hey, David.
Hey, guys.
Well, if it isn't David Knut,
That is correct, sir.
Knut. That's how we say it here. Knut.
Oh. Okay. Kernut is the proper way, but it's all good.
I'm Danish. I'm allowed to say it wrong. Hi, David. How are you?
doing, House?
No work tonight, Dave?
No. Surgery yesterday.
Oh.
The next 5. So.
Where?
On my back.
Okay. That's pretty serious.
This was soft tissue damage, so nothing skeletal.
Okay.
So it's good. It's a good surgery. Yep.
Yeah, it figures this is the weekend where we have my wife's birthday's tomorrow. We have an anniversary party, a birthday party, other stuff, and it's like all of a sudden everyone's calling me up. Can I drop off my stuff?
Oh yeah.
It's like no. And then one guy, I love it. He goes, "Oh, he leaves me a message, and his name is Sandy Silverstein." He goes, "Kenny, Sandy Silverstein, I'm dropping something off in front of your garage. Call me tomorrow." And it's like, really? Oh. And then he adds in, "Oh, by the way, I put new fuel lines in this old trimmer, and it still won't run." It's like, why'd you even touch it?
Yeah.
That's going to cost you extra.
You got to undo what everybody does, and I'm sure he didn't take the carburetor apart. He just probably had the cracked fuel lines, like is always in those Craftsman whatevers. And
I had the classic one come in yesterday, and I mean, push more. Comes in and say, you know what? There's something wrong with the pull thing. We can only pull the cord about yay much.
Oh, look who's here.
Hey, is this?
There he is.
Is that a new shirt? I don't know if I've seen you in that.
Yeah, you're normally wearing green.
Yeah, usually you're representing somebody.
Yeah. Today, nothing. I heard my name called. So.
Good. we missed you. No. So this push mode comes in, and you got to repair the pull cord. It only comes about yay much, And I said, okay, I'll take a look at it. And as I always do, I take the dipstick, and it's like bone dry.
Yep.
So okay, let's do the blade. It goes fine, goes clonk.
Yep.
Goes fine, clonk.
Mm-hmm.
They just lost the mower.
Yep.
So yeah, I'll fix the pull cord.
Exactly.
Some people,
I did that saw last week where you had about 9 inches of cord on it. And I said, have you actually been running it like that? Because it takes about a meter, about 40 inches. Yeah. And he says, no. He says, because it always starts like on the first thing.
If it's a good starter, it's going to work. The problem is with the short, you always bottom out, and you can destroy the mechanism.
In there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, the MS-250, so those are pretty good starters.
Yeah, I was luckily able to get all my jobs finished prior to surgery and picked up and gone. So I'm
you're home free.
I'm home free, and I don't know if I enjoy that or not because I really enjoy my little hobby here. So,
well, speaking of going in for surgery, I got next Friday, my Friday off. I have to do my preliminary visit for my next colonoscopy. I've had 2 or 3 so far, and I don't like them.
I don't.
Just make sure he wears gloves.
Yeah, someone was saying that Who was saying that? Stella was talking about that, wasn't she, the other day? About the new CVs. They were it jams up.
Yeah, could be.
I think it's all the new GCV, like the 190s and above.
190s.
I haven't looked inside one of the new GCVs. I haven't.
I haven't had one to work on. No, me neither.
Yeah.
I don't know if do they still have the belt inside?
Yes,
The rubber belt, yeah.
Oh, the new ones they do.
I believe so.
Okay, well that's
So-
good.
Correct me if I'm wrong,
No, that's good.
but I think they do.
Yeah.
Said that they reduced the amount of parts from over 100 down to 80 moving parts or something like that for that engine. It was
Yeah, there ain't much in it, that's for sure.
yeah,
Hmm.
and it's putting out more horsepower. Or-
No, but I mean, Jesus, the Chinese can figure it out. You know, minimum parts and still runs and delivers power. So why shouldn't they? You know.
Yeah, shorter term. That's all.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
But I mean, guys, have you ever worked on a mower where the engine was wore out from wear, not from lack of oil or lack of maintenance, but from wear,
Yeah.
where the deck was still intact? I've never seen one.
No, usually decks rot out, but I've had a Honda a few years ago where they overheated it because of lack of oil so much that the rings untensioned.
Yeah,
And it
but I
was
mean
smoking like
that would kill any engine. But assuming that you got oil in it and you change it from time
John
to
Boy, how you doing? Yeah, I like my old Briggs & Stratton 12 and 16 horsepower engines.
Hey, John.
They last forever.
Oh,
Yeah. No, but I mean it's not like the engine is going to go out first. So
Yeah.
why wouldn't they go down on runtime life or whatever you call it on those engines? Because I mean, I took a Chinese engine apart the other day and did videos on it and put it back together. There are 2 shims in that engine, and that's it. 2.
Shims on what?
You know, where the crankshaft goes up against an aluminum
Oh,
part.
like a thrust shim.
Thrust washer. Yeah, sorry,
Yeah.
that's the right term. Thrust washer.
Okay.
2. One for the crankshaft and one for the camshaft.
Yeah, so it doesn't dig into the aluminum. Yeah.
Right.
That's it. There was nothing on the other side. There was nothing anywhere else. I mean, that was the only 2 loose parts in that engine.
Well, let's face it, that aluminum cast that they're putting out there, you know, is so light.
Yeah.
I mean, a few scrapes and you're going to wear through it.
Is it even aluminum? I think it's a combination of materials because
Oh yeah,
I mean, if you look at it from the outside, it looks like pot metal. It really
it does. It does.
Yeah,
It does.
So, but you know what? It's still gonna. It is terrible. It's still gonna outlast the deck, though.
Yeah, it's terrible for welding. I'll tell you. Oh,
I don't think that's
Yeah.
possible.
Blow
Yeah,
right through it.
it's all that stuff comes out of that, you know, aluminum, and it just it's terrible to weld. You can't really make.
I had a cover for a scooter that I wanted to have glass blasted. You know, they use glass to clean it.
Yeah.
And the guy said, "Don't bring that shit to me anymore," because he blasted, and all of a sudden there was an area that was softer than another area in the same casting.
Yep.
And I mean, you get what you pay for, but I mean, still, it's the engine is still going to outlast the deck.
Yeah.
And
That's what I do.
Well, it all depends.
For
In the UK, they're made out of plastic and of some kind of fiber. Those decks will last until they crack.
Exactly. I mean, my mower is the same as a Honda. It's got that Sinoy. It's a plastic deck.
Yeah.
But if you got a metal deck and you paid like a mid-range mower, you know, regular, the engine doesn't matter how cheap it is. It's going to outlast the deck if you take care of it.
Right.
But yeah.
I'm looking at that generator that Pat just posted. I think I've never seen one before.
5,000 AW water cooled generator. Well,
And,
Wow, that's an expensive one.
I bet.
it's old.
Yeah, still water cooled. That's expensive.
Yeah. Interesting though.
I was wondering, and I meant to ask Bruce the other day, but I didn't get the chance. His John Deere's got a Kawasaki in it, where that's water cooled.
Yep.
Yeah.
What drives the water pump?
I don't know, but I've seen a lot of those on the.
Well, there's a pump on that. There's a pump.
Yeah, there's got to be a pump on
is
there,
it
yeah.
Yeah, there's a pump and a thermostat and all that. I think it's driven off the camshaft on the front cover.
Okay. Oh.
Yeah, this thing. Where is it? Here.
Oh wow.
Old Honda 5 kVA. Yeah. We'll
Well,
talk to Gary when he
last
comes
forever.
up. Yeah, we'll see. Maybe Gary's heard of him. Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
John Clem, if it isn't, why don't you come up, John? It's time to say hello.
Yeah.
And I'm Morton.
Is that Morton? Yeah, there's Morton.
Yeah, it's Morton. Yeah.
Yeah. Put the link out.
Yeah.
Because what? It's what 11:30 your time, Klaus.
Yeah.
Oh, we have an attractive member of the panel now.
Attractive.
It's
11:30.
Well,
Silence.
absolutely.
Oh, what do you got? What do you got in the background?
Twice as well looking as the rest of us.
Is the TV on?
combined.
It's 10 past 10.
You had to bring up a good-looking one, huh?
Well,
You had to, eh? Make us all look bad.
we could swap you around.
I forgot to mute YouTube. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's been a while since I've been up here.
I was gonna say, yeah. But you've been doing a lot. You've been doing vids and stuff, and I know Cortinas. They've been busy. All the different Cortina channels and things.
Yeah, here and there. Trying to get some feelers out to different places.
Yeah.
Mowing down 12, 16-inch grass. Oh.
Yeah, using a lawnmower on brambles.
That Victor's still going, Simone?
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, still going. Just need to remember to wash it every now and again. I can keep forgetting there's like a wash thing on the deck.
I wish they made mowers like that here with the big disc on the bottom and the 4 knives. You know?
Those are nice. Yeah.
Those are nice, yeah.
They work good. Yeah.
Literally, that thing cuts through everything.
I guess. I saw that.
How that plate on the bottom of it?
It's crazy. There was even a holly bush. It must have been that tall, and it just.
Yeah.
Wow.
I've got to go and buy a very sturdy plastic shovel. I should be able to get one.
Well, I see you're still doing the grave things, right? The stones.
Yeah, the reason why I couldn't get that soil off was because it's just too thick, and I don't want to damage the stones. So if I use a plastic shovel, you know, I've seen them around.
Have you met other individuals doing that, or what's the deal with that?
There's a few other people on the grounds who do help, but I don't see them very often. There's 2 I know of, and one lives across the road.
Now, what's your protocol? I mean, do you know what you're going to do when you go in there? Or do you look for something unique, or what gets it going?
Well, the first thing we do, I don't know if you saw my most recent video, episode 4.
I started watching. I didn't get a chance to finish it though.
Yeah, where the vertical stones are that didn't get knocked down. That's what we tidy up first because the grass grows so quickly there. So we clear that area first, and then I move on to my usual haunt, as I want to call it. But I'm going to need to get myself a metal bladed machine to cut down the tall stuff because it is really, as I was saying to Hank earlier, I think it's really deep.
You should talk to Vivor and get one of those electric shears that goes up to like 3-inch branches. You know.
There you go.
Oh yeah.
Those little ones, they're pretty cool.
Yeah, we got trees that we got to kind of work on as well because all the ground underneath is just dirt.
Yeah.
If we can get more light to the ground, more plants are going to grow, more grass is going to grow, and it's going to be a nicer environment.
I know my father, where he's buried, they only allow plaques. They don't allow stones, but the grass encroaches on it, and unless you're on top of it, it'll disappear. You won't even see it.
Yeah.
I don't know. This early summer here, we had a drought for basically most of June. So the lawns went all brown, and I panicked. And then when the water came in early August, I was out there with fertilizer. That serves me right. Now I'm mowing my lawn every 3 days.
Oh yeah, it's really getting green here. That's for sure.
Yep.
It's down.
Every 3 days.
It's deader than dead. It's browner than brown, and we haven't had water in over 3 weeks. No rain in 3 weeks.
Gary,
Gary actually showed up to his own stream.
I am so sorry, guys. My
That's
wife
right.
decided that we wanted to go and order food out today instead of cooking a pizza, which was what we were originally supposed to do. But then we had to take the dogs for a quick walk between all this stormy weather we've been having, and then come back. So
I got your beat. I got home. The cat was starving.
Yeah.
My son gets home from work at probably noon, and they all head up to the casino.
Oh, joy.
Huh.
That's a
So I text. I go, where are you? Oh, we're up to the casino with Grandma and Auntie Dawn. I went, oh, okay, have fun.
That's a very hard drive. It's like getting
Yeah, it's an hour and 15
minutes exactly. It's almost into Rhode Island where we are.
Yeah.
So,
but
hey, John.
I know they have Pepe's Pizza up there, so they'll usually bring me home a pizza.
Yeah, it's very close to the New Haven style pizza, which anyone that's watching, if you know about New Haven style pizza, it's the only style pizza that matters. It's even better than Chicago style.
They say it's something about the water.
It is the water. It is the water.
it's too thin, I'd say. Yeah, I like thicker pizza.
I like deep pan pizza.
Yeah.
Yeah, something to eat.
Brick oven style.
I'm more into Italian ones, and Hank, they're thin. They don't have much stuff on them, but the taste is different.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah.
We had a Chicago pizza here in town. It didn't make it. It was very thin crust, and but it didn't make it. Everybody wants thick.
Yeah.
Really, I'd rather taste the toppings myself.
Yeah.
No, but I, to be honest, my favorite pizza is a margarita pizza.
Margarita.
10, Steve, if you want to come up.
Cheese, tomato sauce. That's it.
Should have 10.
Yeah.
And that's my favorite.
The only time my wife likes the you guys ever heard of the Sicilian pizza? It's like all crust. It's like real thick.
Oh, yeah.
My wife likes that stuff. Yeah.
I like
To me, that's like a cake.
That's too much. That's too much bread and not enough cheese.
Yeah.
So how big of a generator you need to cook a pizza?
About 5,000. Yeah.
No, you could run a 15. I've seen guys go.
Although some of the newer electric ovens, they got some really nice ones out there.
About 1,500 watts to 2,200 watts, give or take, for those small ovens, and they work great. You're not going to win any speed records for cooking it, but
that's a hair dryer, right?
Ooh, little car.
I bought another Cortina.
Boiling 5 gallons of beer or
Nice.
2,200 watt element. It takes a little bit to boil, but once it gets going, you only need about 900 watts to maintain it.
That's a nice.
What's that? 143rd.
Wow.
I think
That's
the HO scale.
It's really small.
Wow.
I have an original from the gas station. It's a Ferrari. Oh, there we go.
Ah,
Oh, hold on.
Just like the one that's parked in your driveway, huh?
Yeah, right. Hank. Come on,
I
man.
can find a coin.
No,
But it
It's,
figures it's oil related to Shell. Yeah.
it is, and I'm gonna keep this thing in forever. Like, and then I die, and then 20 years later, somebody's gonna find it. It's gonna be worth $10. So yeah, I'm rolling here.
So what's new in the world of generators, Gary? I heard you were working on a propane one, weren't you? You were having problems trying to find a regulator or something.
Yeah, it's not a problem of finding the regulator. It's actually the regulator is just too damn expensive. So James worked on, I think last year, he worked on a 3250 watt model that was dedicated propane unit. And I wound up finding the 5500 watt, which came out a couple years later, but much more rare to find. And apparently the way they designed it was that it's got one knob that operates everything on the machine, the choke, the kill switch, and then also the priming side of it. So they build the switch and the regulator on top of each other. You bolt them together. Well, the problem they failed in the market because the regulator's atmospheric vent is pointed upward. So if you leave this outside in the rain, which you're really not supposed to do for any generator, the water got into it and it ruined the diaphragm. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, you just go and get a new diaphragm, get in a whole new rebuild kit. No, Generac does not sell a rebuild kit. I actually got a direct answer from Generac order tree. And I said, well, okay, well, how much is the part? Well, $301.99 plus $45. Or I can go to Wallingford, Connecticut, one of their Generac dealers out there, and they sell it for $250 plus either shipping, where I take 45 minutes to go down and get it. And the guy was like, yeah, I'm not going to spend that kind of money on it. I'm just going to go and buy a new one. I said, okay. Well, he's like, well, how do you get rid of them? Do you just take them down to the dump? I says, well, it still makes power. Yeah, well, I'm not going to use it. I'm like, I'll take it off your hands. I mean, I didn't want, it still makes power. I didn't want it to get just thrown away if it's something that can be still viable. Granted, you have to, spend the money on it, but I took a chance and I used it's the sealant stuff. It's called The Right Stuff. And I sealed the tear, and then I remade the cork gasket around it, and I let it sit for like 2 hours. I put it back into the machine, and to my surprise, the damn thing fired up.
Nice.
Was it a dual fuel gear or just...
Nope. This is why they failed. It's a dedicated propane unit. It's got a 10 or a 12 to 1 compression ratio. Wow. It's got and it's a 389 cc 5500 watt generator, and you cannot run gasoline on it.
Yeah, but you could have bought an aftermarket what do you call it? That piece for the flow jet, right?
You can get the either Beam or IMCO makes an aftermarket one for about $160 to $180, depending on where you get it from. But it's not a direct bolt-on. You actually have to modify it, build a bracket, and everything for it. And what makes it unique is that it's got a separate diaphragm for. There's a safety device called a vacuum lock-off. So it's using the vacuum from where the carburetor would be in order to open up the regulator so it can start feeding the engine propane. Most of what they do with like the US carburation ones, for example, they actually have an automatic vacuum lock off. So if there's no vacuum coming in from the port, the outlet port, it's not going to open up the propane. So it's a safety device so that when you shut off the engine, it's not spitting out propane and causing a explosion.
Yeah, I've heard so many terrible stories about Generac. Yeah. Even the whole house ones that they install, you have to have a Generac person install one of those.
You need E1 certification in order to look at them.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and E1 certification, I mean, here in the state of Connecticut anyway, and it goes for the rest of the country, you basically have to be a licensed electrician to look at it.
Yeah, two of my guys are E1s, only two of them.
And that's very hard.
And you have to get recertified every year.
And it's expensive to get that certification. It's the continuing.
Yeah, there's only one. I think it's Wallingford. There's only one. No, Newington. I think
Newington.
There's only one. Yeah, one place that you test every year. They all have to go to the same place.
Correct. It's the same place where I would have gotten this regulator because they're a Generac dealer. They do Kohler and everything. But that's the problem with a lot of those standbys, and you can't touch them because you need the certification, you need the insurance, you need the inspectors of your local municipality or town to inspect it on how it's set up. And then the maintenance every year is very costly too, between parts and everything. They've gotten, I will say that because I know someone that's on the commercial side with those standbys, and they have gotten better with the build quality. What is happening a lot of times is the controllers will get zapped by a lightning strike or something like that, or there's not enough gas flow to the machine because they run this very long pipe and it's undersized for the load that it's supposed to support. So, I mean, there's been some quality issue controls earlier on where the power head basically smokes itself, and then it's a very expensive power head to have to replace on a 30 horsepower V-twin. So, I mean, there are better options out there, in my opinion, but you're going to spend $10,000 to $12,000 for your average standby unit anyway. So,
Jesus.
They're very expensive. But
you were saying too that engine with 10 to 1 compression, you can't run it on gas.
You can run it on fuel, but you can't run it on gas if you get a carburetor for it. But now you'd have to run 93 octane because you have a higher compression ratio.
Pretty high.
10 to 1 is very high. It's usually 10 to 1 or 12 to 1 typically for a dedicated propane engine. And what that basically means, because propane as a fuel, even though it's a gaseous fuel, is actually 110 octane. So that's
burns very slow.
Burns very slow, but it's got a much hotter flash point than gasoline. So you need a hotter spark in order to ignite it. The flame front is gonna propagate much slower. So that's why for the spark plug, I found out it's not an R9 YC, it's an N9 YC. They get rid of the resistor, so they want a much hotter spark in order to ignite it. And that was probably what was causing my the speed to not stay consistent when I was doing the testing. But this is just another perfect example why most people don't want dedicated propane units. They want the dual fuel. Well, you're going to have to go and sacrifice some output wattage because you're basically a gasoline engine can run on propane, but it's not going to be as thermally efficient.
Right.
Gary, I gotta ask. You were working on was it a Kawasaki riding lawnmower not long ago?
Yeah, the John Deere. Yep.
How did that pan out?
It worked out good. I spent about $335 for a new fully populated cylinder head. I didn't have to do any work to it. I just slapped it on. And the lady was very nice. I put it back together, and sure, after power washing the crap out of it, there was just so much, almost 15 years worth of grime on it. Yeah, it's been running.
So it was a bad head.
Bad head. It overheated because there was caked up dirt and everything. She'd been running on one cylinder for the longest time, and then when I put the new head in, and then I'm like, oh, where's all this power back? Because you have both cylinders now.
Okay, good.
Now, Dirt Rider says he has to be certified or take a test every month for welding. What's he welding? Gas welding, or
was that commercial welding or something?
Yeah, is that like propane weld or what?
MIG, TIG.
Yeah, I know, but
but what requires a monthly test though?
Yeah, I know.
Is it a state thing, local thing, federal thing?
I never heard of that.
I know there's got to be regulation depending on what industry you're in.
Yeah, there's all types of certs you can get.
If you're PED welding, like on pressure vessels, that's once a year, but about 25% of your welds gets X-rayed.
Yeah,
interesting.
Yeah.
Well, we used to hire a lot of people from EB in a company that I used to work for, and I'll tell you, stick welding compared to wire welding is completely different. They had to get cert for the stick welding for those submarines they were welding and everything, but they didn't know how to wire weld.
For those that are uninitiated, EB is Electric Boat over in Groton, Connecticut.
Right.
Yeah, submarine base.
Hey, Wayne.
Yeah, we're off topic, Wayne. Yeah,
yeah, we're off topic. Yeah.
Talking of welding, I'm still waiting for my welder to be dispatched.
Yeah, well, I have a really cheap welder. It makes lots of sparks. I'm not sure it makes good welds, but it makes lots of sparks.
I got a cheap Harbor Freight a 90 amp flux core welder that I converted from AC to DC, and hey, it's decent. Did
you do it with the capacitor and the
capacitor and the large 100 amp
diodes?
Yeah,
I bought your equivalent
I
of
bought the
Harbor Freight
capacitor and the bridge rectifier.
and then
I just never changed it.
I wouldn't.
Yeah,
have
you went
no
to
idea
DC.
about
You could change it to TIG now that you got DC.
Yep,
Gary, you converted to DC electrode negative, right?
Oh yeah, tip negative, correct.
Yeah, okay.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I bought the part.
Torch negative.
I have that same cheapo 90 amp, and I bought the rectifier and the capacitor. I just never did it.
That's very interesting, Gary. I'm curious to know how you did that.
There's a video on that. The guy that I saw that did it about 4 years ago, he did like a 10-part video on how to do it, and that video went viral. Yeah.
It did. It got quite a lot of views, and I think that's actually the video that I watched. But I did that conversion almost 10 years ago.
But if you think about it, cars years ago were positive earth. So I suppose in a way there's a similar kind of technology. There must be.
Well, no, it's just because you get less spatter when you do electrode negative.
I see.
Yep.
I see.
There's a lot of reasons. Well, Hank, you talk about that sometimes. What the advantages of one versus the other?
Well, depending on the wire, I mean, the voltage is going either in or coming out.
Right.
That's the big difference. And you can get a lot of splatter with the AC because the voltage is coming out. It's coming out like that. But with TIG, you want DC because you want the voltage going in.
Yep.
Well,
Hey,
the welder I ordered.
Workshop. I see your comment there. So, and I know we're talking about a bunch of different stuff, but type your question or jump on. Be more than happy to answer the question for you.
Go ahead, Ben.
Go ahead, Ben.
Yeah, Ben, kick off.
Yeah, James, he wasn't able to make it for the earlier sessions. You know, his time schedule just wouldn't allow. Sometime next week, though, it's probably going to be a little bit later, Eastern Standard Time, 9:00 p.m. That he can jump on. But I figured, you know, the next session that we could do a little bit later. I know sorry for the UK subscribers, it's going to be pretty early in the morning for you guys.
Yeah.
You guys like 6-7 hours ahead of us.
Depending on where you are.
Yeah.
If you're in like New York, it's 5 hours.
5 hours, okay. And then our Canadians, from the western side are probably
I wonder where Brucey is. Brucey should be up. It's only
I saw Steve on here too.
Yeah, Steve too. There is room in the panel. I mean, if anyone wants to come out, I got 10 seats. So. There's the link.
Yep.
I'm surprised. Yeah, I'm surprised Brucey's not here.
I'm sure he'll jump on at some point. Yeah, I mean, I've been on the generator forums a lot, just kind of watching. You know, there's a lot of these back and forth, you know, basic issues that are coming up, but every now and then you get like you'll find like a thread that they're talking about something more nerdy, like total harmonic distortion, and something that James and I like to talk about a lot. But you add some every now and then you get an actual engineer that provides some good insight, and then the next thing you know, it's going over your head. It's like, what are you talking about?
Now, on the THD that you're talking about, Gary, I know that, you know, open frame generators are the worst.
Not all, but yeah, most of them. Yep.
It's the compact ones that are the best with THD. What, you know, I had mentioned to you when I first met you about, you know, PS Audio and their AC to DC conversion, and then back to AC conversion for their power plants.
Yep.
Is that basically what's going on in those small generators? AC to DC conversion and then back to AC clean sine wave?
Yeah, so basically, the basic inverter generator, it uses a 3-phase AC motor or synchronous motor, or an alternator in this case, and then it will rectify it back to DC. It'll dump it into a bunch of large capacitors, and then using it's called pulse width modulation, it'll convert that back to AC, and that's where it's all filtered through, and that's what goes to your outlets basically.
Basically, the same thing that happens in the wind turbine.
Yeah, basically in a wind turbine. Yeah. And it's a little. The only difference between, say, an inverter generator, like those suitcase generators, and then say if you go and get what's called a power inverter over, like say, a 12 volts from your car battery over to your AC outlet. The only difference is 12 volts DC has to be stepped up in order to get to the 120 volts. So. Right. You're basically 4 times the amperage is on the DC side versus on the AC side. So there's actually a boost conversion being done. So it goes from 12 volts, steps it up to like 230 volts, and then it regulates it back down. Some of them actually will operate higher, and then the output will regulate down to like 120. So there's a little bit of conversion going on, but essentially what you describe is exactly what's going on.
It's a cleaner wave too, right?
The cleaner wave, cleaner wave in terms of harmonic distortion. So it's 50 hertz in the UK, 60 hertz here in the States. And then total harmonic distortion refers to, all the different harmonics. So 60 hertz, double that, 120 hertz, double that, 240 hertz. You're getting voltages at those higher frequencies that the loads and your devices that are connected to it, they can't utilize it. They weren't designed for that. So as a result, that power, it's basically voltage and power, it's wasted as waste heat, and that's that's 2 different things. So that creates waste heat. The noise, and I guess that I should probably be very succinct when we say noise, because there's in an inverter generator you have transistors firing at very fast intervals to create that sine wave. Did I lose you?
No.
Yep. So after it starts making that waveform, those transistors firing on and off very quickly, that's where the noise is happening, because that on-off pulsing creates that noise. So what a lot of higher end inverter generators will do is they'll add ferrite chokes, they'll add resistive different types of RC filtering to basically take that noise down to a level that's not going to be a problem for any devices. So
Gotcha.
some of the cheaper inverters, like you get over at like Harbor Freight and some of the Chinese ones, they cut that filtering out as a cost cutting measure.
We guys, we're over at Kenny's. He's on YouTube. Can we meet there?
On YouTube, I thought Ken said, "Come and join us on the group."
No, I said live.
Guys, your microphone's on.
What's going on here?
Yeah, Bruce is on the WhatsApp.
That's who we're trying to call.
Is that's who was calling? Huh?
And by the way, Ken was asking for you, so come on over.
Yeah.
Come on.
Now,
Come on over.
a lot of people don't understand that they use the old generators. The modern day computer could be affected by the harmonic
distortion.
Well,
Yes.
harmonic distortion, because old computer power supplies used to use what's called passive power factor correction. And without getting nerdy and technical, all that basically means is you have a very large capacitor and a very large inductor on the mains of voltage coming in. And they have to be relatively size large in order to basically, it creates a low pass filter. They only want that 60 hertz power to go through to get to your components. Well, that's what they use. It was very simple and it was very effective, but it also made the power supplies very heavy. So
And you're about to have company.
Years later, they created what's called active power factor correction. So they still have that inductor and capacitors. They're not as large, but now they use an IC controller chip to go and mitigate the power factor so that you're getting the most efficiency. The problem with that IC chip in there is that it's not always that they skimp out on the filtering on the entrance where the mains comes in, and it can actually cause problems with that IC controller when it's outputting the DC side to whatever you're powering. That is where high harmonic distortion is a problem. Hey, there's Bruce.
Let's get technical.
Olivia Newton-John. There you go.
Olivia Neutron-Bond. Olivia Neutron-Bond.
Yeah.
God rest her soul.
Mm-hmm.
God rest her soul.
So I've been working with
Sorry, I interrupted.
No, it's okay. I've been working with his name is John. He's one of the lead engineers over at EWC Controls over in New Jersey. They do a lot of they make HVAC control boards.
Okay.
And been beta testing some of their newer control boards that run their Wi-Fi thermostats. So they make a lot of different stuff. I asked him on this question a while back. I haven't talked to him in a bit, but he basically said, because he's been in the industry for over 40 years, so I would trust what he says to me is pretty accurate. He was saying to me that a lot of these active PFC controls are some of them are more robust than others. He said, without getting into really boring technical stuff. He said there are some manufacturers that actually have wider tolerances where they can accept a little bit of harmonic distortion and not cause any malfunctions. Others, you need to really beef up that inbound filtering before it hits that IC controller. Otherwise, whatever you're powering is going to go and let go. And total harmonic distortion is not as big of a deal as people make it out to be. As long as you have a power supply that's oversized for what you are powering, you should be fine.
Yeah.
What kills these things more than anything on a generator power is spikes, surges, inconsistent speed. The engine's not running consistently.
Yeah.
An AVR that's got dirty brushes, or you got a loose connection somewhere. If you're not keeping a steady, consistent speed within a certain percentage and a voltage within a certain speed, when you're drawing a very heavy load on a generator, that AVR is trying like hell to keep that voltage steady. Well, all of a sudden, say something shuts off, like an electric hot water heater or a compressor or something like that. The voltage is going to spike high for a split second until the AVR comes back down. It can't react as quickly as we would want it to, and that's what kills things on generator power.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I thought I hit a speed button or something because Gary was talking like, blah, 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 and I'm like, I thought I hit like a 1.5 times or something.
That's how I usually watch James's videos in 1.5, 2.
My God, 2 hours. Yeah.
Talking about HVAC systems, we used to put in these VAV systems for every room, and they were controlled automatically by someplace in New York. You know, we had to run telephone wire from room to room to a central point. You know, it was crazy. You know, the amount of wire we had to put in.
Right. Well, I mean, a lot of the older HVAC systems for generator power. I mean, and you could look at. I've been on a lot of those forums. I mean, and there's really there's no direct cause that people can, have a smoking gun to point at and say, hey, that's what caused the failure. But there's a lot of evidence to support that it's a combination of everything. Bad, high total harmonic distortion, just a generator not being properly tuned to the right voltage and frequency. A lot of the older HVACs use PMC motors, permanent magnet commutator motors, or inductive motors. Now you have EWC type motors where they have variable speeds, like what runs in your refrigerator, what runs in a lot of modern HVACs, where it's taking incoming AC power coming in, but then you have a pulse width modulation controller that changes the speed. It can adjust the speed. Well, that high total harmonic distortion is actually putting stress on those components within the motors of the HVAC that's running. You could have a big squirrel fan that runs all of your house, for example. If it's overheat, if those components overheat, boom, that fan is done for. And those fans are not cheap. Sometimes you can't replace that module. You have to replace the whole fan.
Is there a way to harvest that energy?
$2,000 for a new fan on my furnace.
What was that, Dave?
Is there a way to harvest that energy to prep it or to stop it from actually hitting the equipment, like a noise harvester or something like that?
The noise harvester is known as a load or a line reactor. Remember, I was saying that the passive power factor correction used to be just one large capacitor and one large inductor. Well, they have large inductors, very large ones, that can, and then even capacitors physically, you can have a very high microfarad rating, for example, but they are designed to basically take out the total harmonic distortion. But we're talking extremely big, like on pallet size type of equipment.
Okay.
So it's not practical on the portable generator level. So if you really need to, the simple solution is that if you need to run computer sensitive electronics where you might have a problem, inverter generators are the way to go. Some of the cheaper ones, like the Predators, the Champions, even I have a $1,000 EF2000 Yamaha. They have high radio frequency interference from those transistors firing. They're just below the what's called FCC 15 rules. That's just making sure that the transmission's in the high megahertz range. And I'm sorry if I'm losing you guys, but high megahertz, like your Wi-Fi runs on 2.4 gigahertz. Megahertz is a little bit lower. So that level of the good thing about that kind of interference is that they make very inexpensive filters to fix that. Power conditioning, they refer to it.
Hello.
Right.
Okay. Got to go. Homemade pizza. Now that I've learned everything about generators, thank you very much. I'm out of here.
Take care, Wayne.
Okay.
I got
Good day, Wayne.
Bye, everybody.
See you, Wayne.
I got to go too because I got to order pizza myself.
I'm going to scarper. It's getting quite late. It's almost 11 p.m.
Gary, we're going to nickname you Spike.
Spike.
See you later, everyone.
Yeah,
There you go.
Good night.
And then number 6.
So
when it comes
start.
to, I'm sorry, Gary, when it comes to power conditioning, there are several types that you can go with. Like, for instance, I know of one manufacturer that uses MOVs.
Yes, very common. Yep.
And then there's another manufacturer, I can't remember the name of it right now, that uses capacitors to take the shock and the noise and just bury it, kind of. They absorb it.
Ground,
Yeah, Furman. So Furman products is, I mean, I use a lot of that stuff in my audio equipment. So Furman Engineering or Furman Power Products, FURMAN, not FIRMAN, like the generator brand. They use MOVs or metal oxide varistors. Basically how those work is that they're tied between so if you have 120 volt equipment it goes between your hot line and neutral. So these don't have a very high resistance when they're at regular voltage line power 120 volts. They start to conduct together at a much higher voltage. So what they do is they clamp down on that spike, and they will either sacrifice themselves, or if there's enough of the MOVs in the circuit, so the more you could see how many joules, a measurement of energy that a particular surge protector can handle before it finally gives up the ghost. Ideally, you would have those fail, or at the best case scenario, trip the circuit breaker, branch circuit breaker, to make the circuit safe. So something like that is it's passive components. It's very simple, inexpensive. It works great. They also employ usually what is called a common mochoke, or an inductor with 2 windings on each side of a donut ring or toroid ring, and that will take down some of that megahertz range noise, that electromagnetic interference, radio interference level noise, to make the AC signal quieter of your mains going into your equipment. So they do have various levels, but the more complex you get, like they even have they have automatic voltage regulators that have everything that I just described. They'll have an autoformer, which is basically a transformer that has a standard primary, then multiple taps on the secondary. So if your voltage is high, it steps it down. If the voltage is low, it steps it back up. But then there's another circuit that is sensing if your voltage is way out of range that it can't adjust, then it pops the breaker, or it disables the output to anything connected to it.
Gotcha.
A lot of cool stuff that they can do, but then the price goes up.
Right.
Looks like a champion clone. Steve-O, what's going on?
Hey.
Good day, boys and girls.
How's the weather out Vancouver Island there, or whatever?
Yeah, actually, funny enough, it started raining about 10 minutes ago.
Oh, wonderful.
Better than fire.
Hey, any one drop of rain is better than no drops of rain where I live.
You guys are not in the heat dome of where we are in the U.S. That's supposed to be finishing up soon.
We've had 50,000 people evacuated from their homes between Steve's place and my place.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Terrible. And the hurricane season is heating up, at least in the Atlantic.
Hey, guys, I have to ask you a technical question now that we have a generator guy on board.
All right.
Okay, you see this little Champion 4000 down here?
Yep.
The governor's jiggered, okay?
Okay.
The guy who owned it stored it in a very moist environment and started it up, and the governor went ting, right? You know, the little rod that sticks out of the engine, and you have the clamp with the bar where the spring goes.
Yep.
He adjusted that so much that the 2 pieces of aluminum were touching each other. He stretched that, right? So anyway, he jiggered it so it would run at about 4 amps at 115 volts. But that's it. And then when I disconnected it, it went clink. And can I take that engine out of there without having to take the generating portion out of there? Can I undo the 4 bolts and work out that engine from the
It's the other way. It's the other way around, Bruce.
By the way, you got the power head has the stator, the donut shaped big part of it has to come off. And then the rotor that spins has to be taken off. Then
can I take the back 4 bolts off?
And you only after you remove the stator and the rotor can you remove those back 4 bolts to remove the rear carriage that holds it in place, and then pull the crankcase cover off.
That's always the interesting parts of James's videos, is that first 5 minutes where he uses.
I just thought there might have been
I thought there might
have been an angel from heaven coming down to save me or something.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he got the same one for 430 Canadian, which is like 300 US.
Yep.
Right. And with his Canadian Tire points close, he got it for nothing.
Wow.
So he gave me this one, and 2 years ago, I disconnected the high volts shutdown because things were starting to crater on the main circuit board because he stores it under his wet cottage at the lake.
VFC, yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone has a problem.
So anyway, it's done. I think I'm going to part it out, and I
get rid of it
because of the labor.
Yeah, it's not worth it. That it's called the VFC, or variable frequency VFO, variable frequency oscillator. It's actually measuring the speed of the engine. It's not doing the. Some of them have the high voltage shut.
Oh, is that stupid thing on the front?
It has an HFC. Okay.
So
connector that I just disconnected, and then it would stay running. This is 2 years ago.
Yeah, isn't that the one, Gary, that if it's out within the bandwidth, it'll shut it off?
That's right, and they had
Right.
problems with some of the earlier models because of it was reading all that harmonic noise in the higher bands, and it would prematurely shut it down. It would be nuisance tripping it
It took
basically.
25 seconds, and it would shut itself off.
Correct.
So I just disconnected the high volt shutdown. We did this like this at work all the time.
Right.
And but we didn't disconnect it. We replaced it.
Mm-hmm.
And then 2 years later, it comes back with a jammed governor.
Yep. Yeah, the Champion ran into an issue, according to the engineer that I talked with or beginning of the year. He said that there was a bad batch that came through those VFO and those high voltage ones. They just had to add another resistor and a capacitor to the circuit to basically low pass so they wouldn't see any of that noise that didn't matter. And it's all potted in epoxy resin, so you really can't fix them. And for the cost that they sell them for, which is something that I like about Champion and Furman, is that they're not trying to go and rake you over the coals with it. It's a reasonable cost. You can just replace the part. They did fix them, and they sent them out for free, basically, if it was still under warranty. And
This one's 11 years old.
Yeah, so they probably. I mean, again, it's not a very expensive part. I think the VFO was like $15 or $18 US. It's not terribly expensive. It's not like that regulator that propane.
Hey, Steve, real quick, we haven't talked in a while. Steve, what's new in the world of Steve Small Engine Saloon?
Well, I haven't put a video out for about a month.
Yeah, how are you and April doing?
Excellent, awesome. We just kind of took a month off, and we just went,
good.
Yeah, it's we've been doing good. I do actually have a question for Mr. Generator too.
Go for it.
Actually, it might not be a generator question though, Gary. Well, it's sort of a generator question. Do you have any experience with those power stations?
A little bit.
The battery powered, you know what I'm talking about, right? They're not a generator, but they do the same thing. They supply.
Did you give one of those away, Steve? Didn't you give one away?
I did, yeah. Actually, we gave 2 away. Yeah.
They're a fancy inverter.
They're nice. They're basically a battery bank with a pure sine wave power inverter attached to it, and a battery charge circuit if it's being charged off of AC power. But yeah, similar.
So my question is, companies, I don't know what's happening in the last 6 months, but companies just sending me things that are worth thousands and thousands of dollars. Just here, do a video on this. I'm just like, oh my God. So a company is going to send me 2 power stations. They're 2,000 watts each, and they're sending me a parallel cable. So here's my question. You hook them together, 2,000 watts, 2,000 watts. You do parallel cord, and then you can use it as a 4,000 watt, not generator, but you know what I mean. You can supply 4,000 watts now.
It's an inverter.
Yeah, it's an inverter. You got it's
so,
not. Yeah.
So my question is when you hook that parallel cable up, I can't get an answer from the company about this, so I thought you might know. Is one now a master and one's a slave, where you can only plug into one, or can you just plug into either one and you get 4,000 watts coming out of either one?
Is this James is on to the right thing, because I've actually asked this question too, and there's 2 answers depending on the topology. So if that parallel cable, is it a positive and negative cable, or is it an AC cable?
I don't know.
Because here's the difference. So there's 2 things. There's 2 ways to do this. And
synchronization.
There's 2. Well, there's a simple way, and then there's the synchronization.
Gary, are you talking like series versus parallel, or
no? So what you can do with a lot of these power stations, a lot of them have integrated where you can connect the battery banks in parallel, so the positive, negative, so you have a much bigger battery bank in order to pull from. All right. So that is probably the easiest way to do it. Now, what Bruce is talking about is synchronization. So they're synchronizing the inverter side. So if one inverter is moving at 160 hertz, 120 volts, and then you have another one that's operating at the same speed, you want to be able to sync them together. Well, inverter generators do just that. One acts as a master, one acts as a slave. They do that with all the MEP military generators, even though you have a live spinning rotor. with that type of conventional type of generator. But the inverters are very easy because it's using a clock signal from the master, and the slave syncs to that. So you start up one, and then you plug it into the one that's not running. You start it up, and then once the output stage gets started, then it'll sync to whatever it's seeing on that parallel cable. My guess, though, unless you're running like a 120/240 type of inverter, they are likely just paralleling the batteries together so that you can get the full output wattage.
The one we had at work, Gary, the one we had at work.
Yep.
2 megawatts synced with the city coming in.
Yeah, that makes sense.
There's Gary, with what's
it took a half an hour.
Does it matter which one he plugs into, or can you use both?
You could use both, I would think. Again, you have two independent power inverters. It doesn't matter if they're run by a spinning alternator like an inverter generator or a battery bank.
The capacity is still 4,000 then.
It should be still 4,000. Yes, if you can double it that way. Yes.
Interesting. Okay.
If it blows up, Steve, you know where to go to blame.
Right.
Yeah. No, I think that's probably an easy thing to test, right? Once they show up, I'll just hook it up.
Is the cable? If the cable is not that thick, if it's no bigger than say 12 gauge, then it's likely paralleling on the AC side. Usually, these power stations have not 12 volts; they're more like 36 volts. Some of them are 48 volt lithiums that have very high capacity and a low amount of weight. But every time, so 12 volts to 120 volts, that's 4 times the amperage. So if you have, say, 100-watt bulb on the AC side, you're pulling 10 amps, for example. By the time you pull on 1,500 watts, you're pulling 150 amps at 12 volts. That's in and thereabouts. That's a very high. You need like 2-aught or 0-aught gauge.
That way.
That's a very thick cable. So my thought is that they must be syncing on the AC inverter side. That would be what about
what Jim was saying? Yeah, the way they're doing the 180 to make 240.
Yeah, because they're basically flipping one of them in place, and then you have a center point where you have 0 volts and then 120, and then 0 volts and 120, and then across them both is 240. That's what.
Because really, all generators make 240, right? Didn't we say that?
Most generators, the big ones, they have I don't see it too often in the new generators anymore, but yeah, that's basically 2 120 volt windings in series. And then the midpoint is your neutral. So then you get 240 volts or 120 on each half leg.
Gotta go, guys. See you later.
Bruce has to go. Bruce has to go shovel the snow off his driveway now.
No, I got one of my favorite things today. I gotta show you.
Take it easy, Scott. Good channel, guys. If you haven't visited Brucey's Shop Rack, real good channel.
I'll have to check that
out. Look what I got today. A Quantum.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Why do you waste your time with that garbage, man?
Bottoms are the best.
Okay, guys, I'm going to take off too. It's getting past midnight.
I was going to say, it's midnight your time.
Yeah.
See
you. Have it going there.
Klaus.
Yeah, take care, guys. Thanks, Kenny.
See you, Klaus.
See you, buddy.
So I think I'm going to park that generator out.
Yeah. Part it out. Just you might be able to get some decent.
So now he's going to store the new one back underneath the house where this one was stored for 10 years.
I don't get it. People, it's like the education level is like you don't leave an electrical device out in the rain. Water and electricity don't mix.
Yeah.
I just don't understand.
If nothing's turned on, it's fine. You can wash a circuit board, but if it's turned on, you're toast.
I don't know. Darwinism at its best. Kill them all, let God sort them out.
Survival of the idiots.
See you later, guys. It was fun.
See you, Bruce.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. Those power stations, I've heard a lot about them. And a lot of people are going in that direction. But you got to also figure too that these power stations have a limited lifespan before those batteries need to be replaced. Even your best lithium batteries that have lithium, cobalt, all these other metals, they can only at this time, until they can get the recycling process more refined, they can only recover a small portion of those metals inside, and the rest of it is a landfill waste. It's not it's light and portable. Sure.
There's one guy though I was listening to the other day on one of these like Detroit stations that talk about cars and all of the industry. And there's one guy in the country, in our country, only one that has his recycling down to like 96%.
recovery.
Yeah.
Well, that's very impressive because, again, that's a lot of these. I mean, lead calcium, lead antimony, flooded lead acid batteries, sealed lead acid batteries. 100% of everything in that battery is recycled.
Yeah.
And I used to work for a logistics company that would move the old batteries to a plant in Laredo, Texas. They would then separate out the acid, separate out all the individual components, melt the metal down into ingots, send it or that they would send those parts over the border into Mexico. They would melt the metal down to ingots, send it back across the border back to the dough run company in order to be used again in new batteries. So
I know junkyards, you're getting more now by the pound for batteries than if you just got your $5 core charge.
Correct. Yeah. And they're still charging you what, $5-10 depending on the size of the battery. But I mean, it's just the way of the world. I mean, again, the batteries in your phone are lithium ion.
Yeah.
At some point they're gonna
Steve, what company is donating these generators to you, these power banks?
I can't remember the name. We've got a Jackery so far. We've got a EcoFlow, but you can't hook them in parallel.
Right.
So this company, I can't remember the name of the company actually.
Okay.
Actually, you can't even buy them right now. They're prototypes. They're sending me the prototypes.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so they're going to be on Kickstarter, I guess, at the end of September, I think.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I can't remember the name, but
it's expensive to go and prototype that.
Yeah, it is.
Very expensive. And we're not trying to, and I don't think they're trying to reinvent the wheel. They're just trying to be able to, all these companies are fighting over the same resources. They're fighting over the same raw materials in the batteries and everything like that. And again, Stella made a good point. The lithium ion phosphate batteries, yes, they are more. They're more reliable. They're less susceptible to what is called battery memory, meaning that they lose capacity over time, basically.
Yeah. Those are LiPo batteries. LiPo.
Yeah.
That's the abbreviation, LiPo.
No, lithium polymer is what LiPo is. Lithium iron phosphate is different. Different battery chemistries
with the memory thing.
Well, lithium ion versus lithium polymer. One's got the solid, and one's liquid.
One's liquid, right? And they have different charge rates. And the thing with lithium polymer batteries is that they're very high density energy storage, and they're also extremely fragile. You rupture one of those cells, they could discharge their energy like that, like in a thermal runaway. That's I mean, the Samsung Note 9. That's what happened to that battery. They told people to power it down because the battery had a manufacturing defect, and this damn thing turned into a bomb. That's basically So there's very strict, the way that a lot of these power station companies, they're getting their specific battery configurations. You're seeing it now in the industry with we're seeing it now in the electric battery powered equipment.
Yeah.
Ryobi, Troy-Bilt, Toro, all these companies have these different configured batteries. They may be 40 volts, 80 volts, whatever it might be, but you can only buy a Toro battery to fit in a Toro, battery powered equipment. There's nothing universal about them, and that's what's going to kill them. They got to learn from what Apple is doing after Apple fought it for years, by the way. I'm not saying that they're actually interested in actually doing this, but they always had a proprietary charger on iPhones and tablets and whatnot. Now the consortium for USB Universal Serial Bus is now forcing them to use USB-C on everything. iPhone, doesn't matter if you have an iPhone set or an Android device, it's all going to
I got that with my newest iPhone. I don't know where the hell to plug it in.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So the world is changing, but I don't really have any faith in this battery powered crap.
I don't either. It's
I just love how people think that energy's free.
No, it's not. I mean, in my opinion, if we're going to have electric cars or battery powered equipment, the only way you can charge those devices is if it's from renewable sources like solar, wind, or water. If you're using fossil fuels to power that, then you're the biggest hypocrite in the world.
Yep.
Solar panels. I got a shitload of solar panels around.
Well, Stella was just talking about
Crazy.
the other day. I guess she washed hers for the first time in a number of years, and I think she was saying the 7 or 8% efficiency what she got from washing them or something.
Oh, a solar panel?
Yeah. Well,
Oh, I believe that.
she never. I guess she had never washed them off, and you're supposed to wash them every now and then or something.
Yeah, I absolutely believe that. Yeah.
Uh-oh. Ben, your question though, what was your actual question? Let me scroll back up.
The generator,
about the 3,500 watt, this one here, but you're saying it kicks out when you put a pressure washer on it. What's the wattage of the pressure washer? And does a pressure washer on startup, is it like,
it's the surge.
Yeah, exactly.
Surge, because so you have an 1,800 or 1,400 watt pressure washer, right? Well, he's saying it's a vacuum cleaner.
Well, he runs a vacuum cleaner, but he said here's a question. But he's saying when he plugs in the pressure washer, it cuts out. And I would assume, like we say, Gary, the startup. That's the
right.
Spike.
It takes anywhere from 1.5 to 3 times the running wattage for most of these DC powered or AC powered inductive motors that are in these electric power washers. My father-in-law has one of them. So if you were to go and measure, use a kilowatt meter or take a clamp meter and measure the surge current, you're going to probably see that it goes well beyond.
How could you get around that? I mean, I know in industry we put soft starters on stuff like that. You can't, of course, do that with a plug-in pressure washer. But is there? Yeah.
It is possible. It's a miniaturized unit, but it adds to the complexity and cost. It uses a couple, either a pair or a couple sets of triacs, but they're called.
Yep.
And it just opens up the gate slowly so that it ramps up the current gradually, so you don't overload it. So
isn't it using juice out of capacitors to do that and slowly release it, or how was
it? It's using pulse. It's using a pulse width modulation, but the triacs are firing very quickly. But it's releasing. Yeah, that's basically what it's doing.
We've converted just about all of our belt-driven fans on autoclaves and stuff like that to soft starts because VFDs, because we were killing the belts. We're killing even our electric belts. Yeah. I mean, we were getting billed based on spikes, and we were getting killed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got to go, guys. April just got home.
See you, Steve.
Take care, Steve.
Okay. See you, buddies.
See you, bud. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, the like I'm thinking of doing that too. I mean, eventually we have to get our air conditioning system replaced, but for now it's running. But I thought of getting that micro air soft start, and that's a very popular device to basically soft start your the compressor out for your air conditioning. So instead of it's on a double pole 30, but it can have a surge current of almost 100 amps. Well, if it can take that micro air will eventually starts the fan first, and then it will eventually ramp up the current over to the compressor. But instead of a big spike, you're getting a gradual start until you get to that running current, and that's
over a longer period of time.
But it actually saves you won't save power. A lot of people think that you buy one of those devices and I'm saving electricity now. I'm not hard starting it. No, you're using the same amount of energy. You're just not using it in one shot, and it puts a lot of physical, mechanical stress on that compressor, on that whatever it might be. It could be normally most central air systems are scroll compressors. Basically, look like a corkscrew, not a reciprocating piston compressor. That's kind of old school. But if you can take that surge current from 100 amps down to like 50, well, I mean that's a big difference.
Yeah, big difference. You're right.
What should I look at to improve short-term peak current? Well, just what I would say, that's the micro air. Look at if you're trying to do like for the central, if you have a motor kicks in. Is this an inverter generator, Ben? Or is this a traditional direct drive generator? The motor kicks in, voltage drops to 0, and then it stops and then repeats. Yeah, because that's the overcurrent. Drops to 0. Yeah, that is not good. And that is heavy draws like that. It's going into protective mode. The output stage of any inverter, I'm assuming it's an inverter generator, Ben. Straight direct drive. Well, even still, it's heavily undersized for the load that you're trying to run. The the exciter winding is probably not getting enough. There's not enough current to feed back into the rotor, and if the magnetic field is collapsing because it's taken up all that, it's too high of a load, then yeah, you're just going to wind up burning that power head up over time, or burning up at the very least that AVR for sure. No, it is not an inverter generator. Yep, okay, but even still, it could be an AVR problem. I think that his generator is undersized for the, based on what he's saying, is undersized for the given application.
Not an inverter.
I mean, inverters do the same behavior. They have thermal protection. There's a thermocouple on the output transistors that make the AC sine wave. And if they get too hot, the thermocouple will open up and tell the inverter to shut down. Very common. Same thing with, there's even a little inductive ring that is basically sensing current. If too much current goes through, then it'll also shut it down to protect itself. But if you just it's like hitting the red line on a car. Eventually, you bounce against that rev limiter too long, something's gonna go bang.
Yep, something's got to give.
Something's got to give, and that's just not enough rig for the gig, as we say.
Well, gentlemen, this has been great. I've really enjoyed being on the panel, but I need to get going.
All right.
Take care of yourself. Good to see you again, and.
We'll be in a chat, Dave. You know where we are.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. All right, brothers. Take care.
Take care.
Yeah, why don't we wrap it up, Gary? We're getting about an hour and a half.
Yeah, we're good there.
Yeah. No, it was good. We had a good time. Thanks to everyone who chimed in. I'm talking to Mick on the other thing. He's in bed. That's why.
Yeah, I know. Sorry it's so late over in the UK. Yeah. We'll have to try to figure for maybe like us guys here in the States would go for like a morning time,
Yeah. I used to grab a lot of them when I did my Sunday mornings, at 8 in the morning.
Yeah, it's tough for me in the morning with the day job, so it's things. But I'd like to have James over when availability happens, to get another panel going. It was a lot of fun.
Actually, what we should do is like we did with me, Hank, and Grandpa Kevin, where we all got together, sat around, had a beer, and did a live stream.
So that's exactly what I'm doing now. I'm drinking my whiskey right now.
That would be fun. All right, let me cut it here. Thank you so much, Gary. A lot of good info. Thanks to everyone who showed up. Hit the like, subscribe on me, Gary, and everybody else that was in here. And we'll talk to you guys later.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
Let's see. Boom.